6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother... What we do here is go back.
Hey everyone, hope everything's working alright. I'm Steven Jensen, I'm here with Jessi Davin. We are going to be doing WWE TLC predictions, and we're going to be talking a lot about Kenny Omega winning the AEW title. We're going to be talking about Sting in AEW. We're going to be talking about Impact AEW partnership, all that stuff. It's been a couple weeks since we were here. Got some stuff going on in our lives that we couldn't make it happen last week, but this week we are back, and we got a lot to talk about. So what the plan is, we're going to start on TLC and go through the card, and then we'll talk about all the AEW and Impact stuff. Like always, super chats, super appreciated, and donations. The link is in the description. Anything that you send, we will make sure to deep dive on your question, statement, comment, whatever it is, like always. So that's always appreciated. And I know Corey sent one earlier, which we'll get to here after the intros. But before we get into all that, Jessi, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just chilling. Sorry, we had a busy week here last week, so we couldn't get on and talk about like all the stuff that's been happening. But we've been doing good. So, yep, she's here and she's we're doing good. And I'm 33. God, stop. I'm 33 weeks pregnant, and so I'm just hanging on in there, excited to be back.
Yes, I'm excited to be back as well. And I'm just getting out some last second I'm trying to put this up on like some Facebook groups. Usually don't do that, but since there's so much to talk about, I figured maybe some of these groups will be interested in this because there's just so much stuff to talk about. How was your week?
Me? My week was good. It's been busy. She's stealing the show. But yeah, my week's been good. The Browns lost, that stinks. The big rivalry game got canceled, which stinks. But we're playing in the Big Ten Championship. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. And then for everyone who celebrates Happy Hanukkah, that is going on right now.
Yes, Happy Hanukkah.
Yes, and I'll start the show off with a little, let me see if I can find it again. I lost it a second ago. I tweeted out some old yarmulkes or kippas or whatever you want to call them, the little Jewish hats. And I'm going to pull that up here for everyone to see if y'all might appreciate this, especially if you're 90s kids. Let me see if I can find the tweet. I had it up and then I lost it. It is right here. So yeah, I found these kippas from 1995, and I showed Jessi these before the show, but these are Power Rangers yarmulkes that I've had literally, like I said, since 1995, so a long time. And this is the Blue Ranger who actually saw this and said those are amazing, Happy Hanukkah. So that was a cool moment for someone who's been, not so much into Power Rangers now at my age, but as a kid, I was super massively into Power Rangers, so that was really cool. And it's been a good Hanukkah. Got to spend some time with my family and drink a bunch of Manischewitz wine, which has been nice.
Nice.
Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, it's been a good week, and yeah, challah and matzah and latkes and all that stuff. So.
Yes, yum.
Yes, so it's been good. But yeah, let us know in the chat how y'all are doing. Let us know if you have any questions or anything like that. Full transparency, me and Jessi talked about this before the show. There is, I'm just going to say it right now, like, the WWE product, I think, has been really, really, really bad. Like, outside of Roman Reigns, which is on SmackDown, which is a show that I rarely watch because it's on Friday nights, and there's other stuff I'm usually doing on Friday nights. Or if I'm watching wrestling, independentwrestling.tv usually premieres their events on Friday nights, and I watch that instead. So it's something where I'm going to preface these predictions by letting everyone know, like, I'm pretty in the loop on what's been going on Raw, but it's been really, really, really bad. And I think that's reflective in their ratings. I think they just got the lowest ratings they've ever had in the history of the show.
AEW beat Raw in a demo in all 3 hours.
Yeah, the 18 to 49 demo, which is definitely the most important demographic for wrestling. And this is a thing where, like, I've been saying it, and, like, people have called me sexist and stuff, and it isn't necessarily a sexist statement I'm going to make here, but, like, I'm sorry, but WWE is written for Vince McMahon's stepchildren, or not stepchildren, just Vince McMahon's grandchildren, and the 50+ demo. Like, I don't know why else anyone would be watching this right now. Like, if you're a fan, like, that's okay. You can like whatever you want to. Like, I'm not going to, like, sit here and tell you not to watch this stuff. But I literally turned on Raw this week. Like, it was, like, already pretty far into the show. And I was like, fuck it. I'll turn it on to see what's going on. I turn it on. Matt Riddle is getting a carrot autographed by Ramblin' Rabbit, and I'm like, I'm out. Like, that's it. That's all I needed to see. Carrying around bro nuts and it's like, this guy's the only guy.
Yeah, that's so cringe.
He's the only guy on your roster who's an actual legitimate badass who can kick everyone's ass, he was a great UFC fighter, and there's this great story there, because the UFC cut him after, like, a 6-fight win streak, and it was because they didn't like that he smoked weed, and Dana White talked all this shit about him when he got fired, and this guy is, like, kind of redemption story to get into the WWE after working the indies and leaving mixed martial arts. There's so much you can do with all this, but instead he's walking around with bro nuts and talking and getting carrots autographed. So I need to preface my predictions for this show by letting y'all know massively down on the WWE product right now. So I just got to be honest about that.
Yeah, kind of same here. I mean, it's there. I mean, and this is not, I want to preface this too by saying it's not a knock on the talent at all. Like, I seriously appreciate and enjoy what the talent is bringing to the table with what they've got. I feel like they're really giving us the best we could have in this situation, like with the storylines that they're giving us. I think they're really, you can tell they're trying. So it's not a knock on the talent. It's really more of a knock on the writers and Vince McMahon in general.
Yes, 100%. Like, there's nothing that, like, this isn't Riddle's fault. Like, unless he's being punished for, like, outside of the ring stuff, but in that case, I feel like he just wouldn't be on TV at all. So, like, so that's the thing. Because that's the one knock people have on Riddle right now is there is that stuff he's dealing with in court. But until there's, like, a conviction or, like, proof or something, I can't, he's still on television, I kind of have to, like, I gotta let that play out. I can't, like, hold that against him until I know, like, what's actually going on with all that. So I gotta just talk objectively as far as him on the show. And I can't believe it. And then there's all that stuff about Keith Lee, and they're wanting to send him back to the Performance Center because it's like, what got Keith Lee over was being different and doing moonsaults and power bombs and dives and being a large man who did everything. That's why Keith Lee got over. Like, why would you send him back to the Performance Center to have him learn how to work like everyone else? So he just winds up like a Snitsky or a Heidenreich or a Lars Sullivan or something like that. Like, that's all that's going to wind up happening. It's like these bonehead decisions. WWE is so insanely disconnected from what the demographic of fans that we lie in are. Like, they're so disconnected from it. Like, they're trying to appeal to literally Vince McMahon's granddaughters, like that age of kid, and the grandparents who are watching the show with them. And at some point, to be honest, like, those kids are going to start catching on to AEW. They're going to be like, wait a second, this is more fun to watch. And once that happens, the WWE has lost everybody. Like, they got like a 1.5 rating on Monday. Like, that's so pathetic. That's so pathetic. Oh man, it's
bad. It's bad. And like, I think the problem is right now, especially like with the pandemic, and I was kind of thinking about this like today to talk about, a lot of times we kind of know, or we have fun speculating on what the build basically is, like the end game is to WrestleMania. Like, we're always like, ooh, what's the big WrestleMania match gonna be? But it doesn't feel like we have that. If it's really going to be Goldberg, which I could go into a long rant about, this is all pointless. All of this is pointless, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, the one thing that I'll say in WWE's defense, the only thing that I feel like I can say in their defense is WrestleMania this past year. I feel like everything they're trying to do with Drew McIntyre right now was the plan for, like, after WrestleMania. Like, I felt like if there was fans there, he probably would have done the whole entrance with, like, the kilt and the sword. And like, when he beat Brock Lesnar, it probably would have been a much bigger deal with fans there, and then, like, the aftermath. But so I clearly they've had to change a lot of plans. But on the
it's not their fault, you know. But and I feel like it is kind of sort of a consequence of the pandemic, but still, I mean, AEW has done great with this pandemic thing, you know? That's
exactly what I was going to say, is there's, like, that, but I can only give WWE so much leeway when there are other companies putting on some of their best stuff with no fans. Like, it's, like, I think the Sting stuff, by the way, Sting right there, I think Sting debuting in AEW, I think that was going to happen initially back around the time they did, like, the Stadium Stampede and stuff. And they were probably waiting to see if they can get fans back. Looks like they're not going to have, like, a ton of fans for a while, and they're doing it now. The Kenny Omega title change, I'm sure they would have liked to have fans there. And then the other thing with the WWE that people aren't really considering is Drew McIntyre. What if, and this is a totally possible what if there was fans there and they weren't reacting to him as champion, which is totally possible. Then what?
That is completely possible. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem is WWE, doesn't have fans to kind of gauge, because they clearly don't listen to their like online audience, you know.
Yes.
They don't listen to like the comment, which I wouldn't either. Their Facebook comments are ridiculous. Their like Twitter comments are so silly. So they're not really listening to criticism, because how can you? But you don't have that audience reaction. You know what I mean? Like, at least in AEW, you have a crowd there. You can kind of gauge what's going on. In WWE, you have this Thunderdome where there's literally a producer telling you how to react. It's like they don't know if what they're doing is good, really, unless it goes like the ratings, which is clearly showing something not good, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I see Corey's about to leave. I don't know if you're still here, Corey. Thank you. I know he said he tried to send a super chat. I don't know if it worked or not.
It did. It did. He sent one. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Corey.
I know that YouTube has been
really appreciate it.
Screwed up the last couple of days, and like super chats and videos and stuff have been all screwy. So if y'all are trying to super chat, we appreciate it. And if you can't, like, there's just nothing any of us can do about it. Corey wasn't able to attach this to his message, but he did direct message me with the message that he wanted to send. He wanted to shout out one of his friends on the show today. Her name is Kara Croft VIP. That's her OnlyFans. I know Jessi has an OnlyFans. Obviously, subscribe to Jessi's OnlyFans. That is the number one priority. But Kara Croft VIP, that is one of his friends, and he wanted to use the super chat to give her a shout out. So I wanted to make sure to do that because he did pay for the super chat, and I don't want to. I got to give him his money's worth on that. So we generally don't really promote other things through the show, but Corey's been such a loyal viewer that I'll do that for him. So check that out. Kara Croft is with K's, by the way. Kara with a K, Croft with a K. So, and thank you, Corey, for the super chat.
Yes, thank you. And we got another one from Cool King. Cool King says, "Keep up the awesome work. You two are awesome." Well, thank you so much. We are awesome.
We are. Yes, we are. Of course, Scarlett. I swear to God, I hate that her name is Scarlett. I love the name Scarlett, but I swear to God, every time I text you, it's no problem. Scarlett. Every time I say the name out loud, it's Charlotte. Every time I say it out loud, it's Charlotte. Cool King, thank you very much for the super chat. We very much appreciate it. If you want to attach a question, like without sending more money, if you want to, ask a question or something like that, we'll keep an eye on the chat and answer a question or something for you since you did send us some money. So, but if not, we just appreciate the support. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot more to talk about before we do the TLC predictions, but I did just want to throw that out there where, there's a lot of people that defend the WWE, and that's okay because they're
fine. Totally fine.
It's fine, but also I think just people need to understand. I'm 32 years old. I've watched Raw since like 95, like when the show started. I started watching wrestling like 2 years before that. WCW Saturday Nights, with like the show that like really got me hooked on wrestling, and so this is somebody like. I mean, this shirt I bought off WWE Shop years back. Like, I have so much WWE merchandise. If you could see this room, the amount of WWE action figures I have in here, it's alarming. Like, I have autographed 8x10s from Austin and The Rock and Randy Orton and all these people. And I was a huge fan and supporter. Huge. Like, I was a massive WWE fan. And I still am to a degree. Like, I think NXT TakeOver shows are great. And I think what they're doing with Roman Reigns is phenomenal. Like, there are a couple bright spots. But where we're at right now is a very scary spot. Because WWE, they have positioned themselves for years now. Pretty much since, like, Steve Austin and The Rock's era. They have positioned themselves to where they want the WWE brand to be the draw. And they don't want anyone advancing beyond that. John Cena advanced beyond that, and he doesn't need the WWE anymore. Roman Reigns hasn't advanced beyond it, but I think they're going to probably do kind of everything they can to not let that happen. CM Punk advanced beyond it, and it was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like, I don't need this anymore. I don't like working here anymore. I'm gonna do other stuff because I'm more popular than the company at this point. Like, they're in this really, really bad spot because they positioned it to where there are no stars outside of Roman Reigns, who is not the same level of star as someone like John Cena was. They have no one as far as a star goes. When Ronda Rousey's around and when Brock Lesnar's around, but they're part-time people that are stars from outside the WWE. And the big problem with this is when you position it to where the WWE is supposed to be the draw, and now nobody wants to. Now they aren't drawing. Now you don't even have superstars to draw people in. So now it's
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
They've created a really, really stupid situation for themselves. They got to a point where they got way too comfortable. They bought WCW and ECW. TNA never really took off. New Japan was doing their own thing. Ring of Honor never really took off. And they just were sitting on the top of the world, signing up all the talent they could, doing the shows that they wanted to do, and doing everything they could to 50-50 book everyone so nobody was elevated to be an actual star in the company. Because they figured, we're WWE. We've won this game at this point. Now it's just people are going to watch whatever we put out there, and then the brand's the draw. And by doing that, guess what? You got no stars now. So now the brand isn't drawing, and there's not anything going on in the show outside of Roman Reigns. There's nothing else that makes me want to tune into the show. Whereas AEW's done the opposite. They're listening to all the complaints the fans have had for the last 20 years, and then doing what we've been asking for. It's like, it's incredible. Yeah. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, and I think it's important for us to just say, like, we're gonna be real with you guys. We're not gonna sit here and act like we know everything that's going on and act all like cool and try to pretend to put on a face. We're gonna be real with you guys. Like, we want to give you predictions, and we want to give you, like, because obviously we're gonna watch TLC, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But we want to be upfront and transparent with y'all. We're not gonna sit here and pretend like we know it all, because I guarantee we'd probably look like ding dong if we try.
I mean, yeah, I'll watch the show. And like to Derek Felix's point in the chat, they have a great women's roster. They do, if you count all the brands together, they do. That's the difference. Because if you look at Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK collectively, then yes. But they're all split between 4 brands. Whereas in Impact Wrestling, for instance, I think they probably have the best actual women's roster when you're looking collectively at like the talent on one brand. I think Impact's I think AEW is behind them. I still think they have a lot of work to do. But that's a huge thing we'll talk about it after the predictions when we talk AEW and Impact. But that, for me, was the biggest like, oh, wow, I see what they're doing here moment was when the two promotions looked like they were going to start cross-promoting. The first thing I thought was, this is kind of interesting because AEW is really, really going to be helping Impact. And what can Impact really be doing to help AEW? And then I was like, the women's division. They got a stacked women's division, and AEW needs those women. So, like, that's where I think it's very mutually beneficial. They're going to get Kenny Omega over an Impact to pop ratings, and then we're going to wind up probably getting, like, Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo and Sue Young and those girls over in AEW, I'm sure. And in that case, it really helps both companies a lot. So I think it's really, really smart.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. My buddy told me he's already ordered Series 3. Series 3 of AEW's action figures just dropped on Ringside Collectibles today if anyone wants to go buy them. My Series 2 still hasn't shown up, so haven't pulled the trigger just yet, but I will. Well, let's do some TLC predictions. If anybody has any predictions of their own, if there's anything that, even if we're going through these and you decide, hey, I don't want to listen to them talk about this, I want them to answer a question about AEW or Impact or anything else, we'll do that too. So if you want us to answer any questions, if you have your own predictions, anything at all, super chats and donations, we will make sure to prioritize anything that you want us to talk about. So we got TLC. This will be interesting. This is the first time I'm actually looking at the card. We got New Day, the team of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, taking on the Hurt Business for the Raw Tag Team titles in the opener. Well, but the first one we'll talk about. Don't know if this will actually open the show. I'll say this, and you mentioned you alluded to it as well. WWE pay-per-views, even though Raw I think has been just atrocious, the pay-per-views still we could still get some good stuff. Because like this, for instance, this should be a really good match. Like,
this should be fire. This should be one of the best matches on the show.
I agree. I think this will be really good. I like everybody involved. I think there's a bunch of talent here. Not that this is necessarily the point of it, but like it is kind of refreshing lately. We're seeing a lot more African American talent, like just in the ring all together. And it's something that I never really, and this is to my own ignorance, it's something I never really thought about too much until the Collective weekend a couple months back when they had the For the Culture show, and it was basically an all African American show. And while I was watching it, it was amazing. It was one of the best shows of the entire year.
Yeah.
And as I was watching it, it like kind of clicked. I was like, I've never really seen this many black wrestlers on a show at one time. I've never really seen this many wrestling each other, and I was like, there's so much fucking talent out there of all races and genders and stuff. But it's like in particular, like the African American culture, they have so much talent on the indies right now, and I knew these things, but until I saw them all together, like on a show together, I was like. And then I'm having flashbacks of like all just like the racist storylines I've watched over the years in the WWE, and how they always pair the two black wrestlers together, or it's like they give them like the crime time gimmick or whatever. And I'm just like, and so like seeing this on the show, I'm like, this is gonna.
Refreshing.
It is very refreshing because it's like these 4 wrestlers 1,000,000% all deserve to be on the show. They all just happen to be African American, but we're just, I don't know, we're kind of reaching a kind of an age where I don't want to, I mean, in pro wrestling they're kind of, I don't want this to be a whole debate, but I feel like in pro wrestling, I mean, up to this point we kind of had like systemic racism to a degree, right? Because like there a lot of the time there just wasn't a lot of black wrestlers on the show and stuff. And then even like Booker T, it's like they when Booker T got his biggest push in the WWE, it was because they were like calling him a thug and making fun of the fact he was in jail and stuff. Now it's just like, no, they're
wrestlers.
Just really good fucking wrestlers. Like we don't need all that bullshit.
Yeah, it's nice. It's so refreshing, and to see them getting over too and finally being respected, it's really nice. And I mean, obviously, I'm a white woman, so I can't speak for the black community, but for me as a white person, I love seeing it, and I think it's great. I think it's really refreshing, and it makes me happy to see.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And I'm in the same boat, obviously. I'm very white myself. But it's nice to see too, because I am so glued in on the indie scene, and there are so many talented wrestlers of all colors that I feel like this is like a time that they're really getting a chance to finally kind of show what a lot of them can do, and I think it's fucking great. And that to my point, this match here, all 4 incredible performers. I think this will be a really, really good match. I love MVP as the leader of the Hurt Business. I like that. I'm sure he'll be ringside for this match. I'm gonna go Kofi and Xavier for the win, just because the WWE. One of the very few consistencies in the WWE over the last handful of years is the WWE's willingness to like just the New Day is always either the champions or they could be the champions. Like they're consistently in a spot where
at all times.
Exactly. And a lot of times when I picked against them, they've won. And my gut is like, go with the Hurt Business, because they're a newer group. I really, really like the group. I love all 4 of them together. I think it's great. But because I'm feeling like that, I'm like, they'll probably just have the New Day win again. But I think it's going to be a really, really good match. So I'm going to take the New Day. What about you?
I was thinking about this. I want the New Day to win because I like New Day. But I think the Hurt Business is going to win. And I'm sitting here thinking, how can they save Retribution? Like, because it's pretty much dead in the water. And I think maybe them trying to get, like, because you know how they're trying to get Ricochet in there or whatever.
Yeah, he's losing every week to Retribution.
Yeah. It's like that. Let him flip away and just go. Like, come on. And I think it would be kind of cool if Retribution kind of started manipulating like New Day, or like tried to start like kind of saying, hey, like maybe even bring up that Big E was like, split from them, and that they should be mad about that, and try and provoke them to like not turn heel, but kind of stand up for themselves. There's something like I just feel like if they want to save Retribution, like doing like an angle with someone or a team that's like really respected, sorry Ricochet, would be infinitely better. And maybe New Day could just demolish Retribution altogether, and they could become the new leaders, and we could have the end of Retribution. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud because this is what I do, because WWE is so blah right now that I'm trying to think of ways to make it exciting. Sure. And then I don't know. And, I really like the Hurt Business. I think they're legit. I think putting the tag titles on them would be a really good way to keep them elevated. And I want to see them elevated. Not that I don't want to see the New Day elevated, but it's like...
Sure. We've seen it a lot of times. He's been the champions 10 times or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, right now it's weird because Big E's not there, and they haven't really, addressed it. I mean, they've addressed it, but they haven't really, made it a big deal, and I feel like it needs to be a big deal, because it is. He's still part of, their entrance. It's weird. So, I don't know, there needs to be something, they need to do something with that, or they need to explain themselves. So I'm just going to go Hurt Business with the hope that it elevates Hurt Business and brings us a new, refreshing storyline for the New Day.
I like it. I think that all makes sense. Personally speaking, I'd like to see the Hurt Business win. Especially there's something to be said about a guy like Shelton Benjamin, who's been around so long, and up until he joined the Hurt Business, he had rejoined the WWE, X amount of years ago, whatever it was, and they did nothing with him. He was just on the roster doing nothing, and now he has a purpose again, which has been great, and he fits in so well with the other guys in the Hurt Business. And this also helps Cedric Alexander a lot too, because Cedric's always been great in the ring, even back to his indie days. I've seen, he's had some matches, him and Ricochet and stuff in particular, they've had some just incredible matches on the indies before they signed with the WWE. And I think the only thing Cedric has lacked is a good story. And this is a good story for him, being a part of this group, and and I think him and Shelton work well together, and I think MVP is a great manager. So yeah, we'll see where that happens. So I'm gonna go New Day, and Jesse's going Hurt Business, and we both think that it's gonna be one of the best matches of the night. So
yeah.
Next we got Sasha Banks defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Carmella. Who do you have in this one, Jesse, and why?
Okay, they did this on SmackDown, and it ended in DQ, and Carmella, broke champagne bottles. She broke a little bit of the bubbly on Sasha Banks, and it was weird, and I was I like that stuff. I guess, here's the thing, they're, revamping Carmella, but I don't know, it's kind of the same. It's Carmella with a Lana twist, to me. But, that's what
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm okay, the whole, dancing thing in front of the silhouette, you go, girl. She's got a body, woo. My goodness, she looks great. And I love her submission. I don't know what it's called, but I really liked it. When she tried to submit Sasha Banks, it was really cool. I really liked it. So I like her in-ring work. But it's I don't know. I'm just going to go Sasha Banks because I just want Sasha Banks to, finally retain for a while for once. And I really think that Sasha Banks, they need to ride with Sasha Banks right now because she's in The Mandalorian. And that's going to get them, so much publicity. And I feel like they need to ride with, they made a Star Wars reference. A Baby Yoda reference, I think, on Raw. I feel like there was, some sort of Star Wars reference. They need to roll with it, basically. They need anything for ratings at this point. I don't know. I'm gonna pick Sasha Banks.
Yeah, no, I'm picking Sasha as well. I think for all the reasons you said, and the one time they tried to really push Carmella because she won I remember she won the Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. That was awesome.
Did she win and then she did win the title. She beat Oscar or someone for it.
I thought that was her best run.
But since then, it really hasn't. But then again, to be fair, I haven't been paying very close attention to SmackDown. Basically, what I do every week for SmackDown is I go back and I find out whatever Roman did, and I watch that. So I'm not the best to speak on it, unfortunately, but I do think Sasha Banks is one of the best female wrestlers in the world. And like you, I want to see her have a title reign where she actually retains a few times and I mean, she definitely deserves a good title run. So I'm
yeah, she's a great wrestler. She's so much fun to watch.
yeah. So we're both in agreement there with Sasha Banks. I'm going to skip Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. We'll talk about that last. Next up, you mentioned Lana a second ago. We have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against Asuka and To Be Determined, who was Lana up until last night, or Monday night. Yeah. So I'm gonna. How do the Lana stuff is as bad as anything I may have ever seen in wrestling. It's real bad. Like I don't even have the words for it. I don't like. Here's the thing, because I'm familiar with the story, even though I've been really not watching Raw. I'm familiar with what's going on. She got put through the announce table like 10 times or whatever, and the only way this story makes any fucking sense at all, is for her to be in this match and put Nia Jax through a table. Like, that's like the only... But instead, she's just not in the match. I saw that really weird pinfall from Monday. I saw Alex Pulaski.
Yeah, with the booty. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Alex Pulaski post a still shot of that, and I thought it was hilarious because I did not watch that match. I get that there's people that are like behind Lana that are like real big fans and like they really want to see her succeed. But for me, to me, okay, so you have, I hate doing it like this and having it be the comparison, but I have to prove my point. Kenny Omega was the tag team champion in AEW for a while. And then he had some fucking awesome matches in AEW. And then he splits with Hangman, and he wins this tournament, and he becomes the number one contender, and then he has a great match with Moxley and wins the belt. That's a build-up for someone winning a title. Like, it all made sense. There was a long-term story. There was a build, and by the time he won the title, I was ready for it. I was like, hell yeah, this guy's time. Give him the belt. Lana gets her ass kicked every week, is afraid to fight. Like, she's in, like, segments where she's, like, literally afraid to wrestle Nia Jax. Like,
she was the sole survivor by standing there.
By standing on the ring steps crying. Because she got bullied too bad by her partners. Like, in real life, bullying is not cool, right? Like, I was bullied as a kid. I'm sure you, like, all of us. Like, it's a shitty thing. Like, bullying people is not cool. But in pro wrestling, where the fucking point of it is to fight and beat an opponent, and you're getting bullied to the point where you're crying on the ring steps. And
after they do a WWE like expose on how horrible her cyberbullying has been.
Yes, and she's actually getting bullied in real life. Yes, and
for real.
Yeah,
people are horrible to her.
I'm not defending that at all. Like that's not okay. But the thing is, like, on the show, like the character on the show, that's what I'm talking. You know what I mean? Like, she's getting bullied to the point of crying, and somehow she's in the mix for the tag team titles, and there's people who want to see her win the women's championship. It's like, what the fuck are we like? And that's the thing, and that's the disconnect with me. Like, I'm watching a show that a 10-year-old girl is seeing something completely different than I am by watching the show, and that's okay. Like, that's the thing with the WWE. They want as many people as possible. They want to bring in every demographic of every person. They want to be inclusive like that. That's a good thing, wanting everyone to enjoy something together. But not when it's at the expense of losing your hardcore audience that's been around for 30 fucking years. Like, these are the problems I have. You're appealing to fucking 10-year-old girls who are not going to be interested in the WWE like 2 years from now, probably. They're and this isn't exclusive to girls, by the way. I have a friend. She has a son that's like 10 years old. A few years ago, she messaged me completely out of the blue, and she was like, "Hey, I know you're like really into wrestling, and like my son got into WWE recently, and like,
I'll be right back.
You're good." And she's like, "Hey, my son is watching wrestling now, and he's listening to your podcast because, you know, I told him we went to high school together, and blah blah blah." And he was super into it, and he was like 10, and even he stopped watching it recently Isn't it like I'm so mind blown by just the. It's just amazing to me. As far as this match goes, for the predictions, I'm gonna take Shayna and Nia. I don't know who Asuka's partner is gonna be. Maybe it still winds up being Lana. Maybe she does get her redemption by putting Nia Jax through a table. Okay, and then what? And then what? Like, is Lana now gonna be like your Trish Stratus of the women's division? Like, come on. Like, Lana, I'm sorry, y'all. Lana's not good in the ring. She's very attractive. She seems like a good person. I've run into her and Rusev before in Nashville. They live there. They're very nice people. But there's not. Like, this isn't the future of your fucking women's division. You know what I mean? Like, it's so.
Yeah.
The build has been so bad. So anyways, I don't know if you heard what I said, but my friends.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. He's already given up. Like, he was a big John Cena fan. John Cena's not there anymore. And he likes Roman Reigns, but doesn't want to have to watch wrestling on Friday nights when he's hanging out with his friends. So, like, which is a whole nother thing. I don't know why Roman Reigns isn't on Raw. He's the best thing you have, and Raw's your flagship show, and it's the one getting the worst ratings of all time. And you don't have him on the show. It's just mind-blowing, all of it to me. So I'm going to take Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. How about you?
I don't know. Because it's like, I mean, I feel like the to be determined has to be Lana. Like, it's going to be Lana. Like, she's got to show up and, like, save the day or something. I don't know. I mean, like you said, it makes more sense for Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to win, like, in storyline, I guess, and in, like, just, like, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, validity, prestige, I don't know, for the tag team title for the women. But it's like, they've been going on and on and on with this Lana storyline, and I feel like there has to be a conclusion to it. And like you said, it has to be her putting Nia through a table. Maybe they get DQ. Like, I don't know if they'll win the tag team belts. I hope they don't. I hope Lana and Asuka don't, because I don't really want Asuka to be held up like that. But it would kind of be like a good storyline, I guess. Like, the bullies never win or something. I don't know. I don't know how that. I just don't care.
Well, that's like my big question though. Like let's say Lana gets her redemption. She puts Nia through a table and she's the tag team champion. Let's say she even wins the world title at some point. Exactly. Then what?
Then what? And
I guarantee you, I'm thinking about this farther out than the WWE is right now, because I guarantee you they have no idea what then what is going to be. They're just going to get to a position of like, Lana did it. Because here's the other thing. Lana's character, not only is she winning matches by crying on the ring steps, she's then bragging about, I did it. I'm the winner. I'm the survivor. I overcame bullying. I did it. It's like, this is annoying. This is how a heel talks. Like, this is so stupid. This is so stupid.
It's not only insulting to people that are actually bullied, because it's literally making fun of people that are bullied by doing a bullying storyline. It's insulting to her as someone who's being bullied, like, in real life, I feel. It's just, I don't know.
Well, especially when you're a company that promotes a Be a Star campaign, which is all anti-bullying.
Which is like, what have they even done with that lately, honestly? Nothing. This is going to be like a no contest. Or not a no contest, but a DQ. Nia and Shayna retain. It's going to go there.
Yeah. I'll throw this out there, by the way, just so it isn't like that I'm just piling on Lana. I think Nia Jax is equally as bad, so I'll put that there too. I think Nia Jax is terrible, shouldn't be on the show. But I think that Shayna Baszler and Asuka are great. The two of them, I'd like to see more. I'd like to see Shayna and Asuka for the world title. Like, just do that a bunch of times. Like, at least it's something that'll be good. Anyways, moving on, we have the Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Randy. Oh, god damn it, this is so stupid. This is so bad. You're up first on this one. Just for those of you who may have missed it, I got caught up on Raw this past week. I saw Randy Orton put Bray Wyatt into what looked like a coffin or something, and he lit it on fire, a box of some kind, and then the Fiend appeared and mandible clawed him, and And yeah, I called this from the start, by the way. I was like, this is going to be some lame-ass, like, Alexa Bliss Fiend love story or something. I think this is pretty much what we're getting. Jessi, who wins this one and why? And what kind of expectations do you have for this match? I'm still listening, by the way. I just need to step off screen for just a second.
Okay.
Got my headphones in.
Jeez. I feel like the Fiend needs a win here. I feel like, Scarlett, can you turn that down, please? Because that's loud.
Is there a heel? Like, who's the heel? Or are they both the heel?
Yeah, who's the bad? Like, right? Who's the bad guy? Randy Orton's being bad, and so is the Fiend. Like, what? I mean, there's no clear like good guy in this. Like, is the babyface Alexa Bliss? Like,
I feel like they're all heels. I feel like they're all heels. It's so weird.
They're all heels. It's weird. But I feel like Bray Wyatt needs to get revenge on Randy Orton for burning down his house. And I still haven't gotten that yet. I'm still upset about that. Like, I'm still really mad that Randy Orton did that. And that was really rude. And they keep hinting at it. Like, they keep bringing it up. And I feel like they shouldn't bring it up unless they're going to, like, utilize it. And so I feel like Bray Wyatt needs to get his revenge on Randy. I want the Fiend to win. I really do. Like, I like Randy Orton, don't get me wrong. He's the best on the mic. But it's like, I feel like this match is only going to hopefully elevate the Fiend to a title picture, which I would like to see again. But, because it's like Randy Orton, he's done all this stuff already. Like, he's been champion. He just lost to McIntyre, whatever. Like, I don't know. Randy Orton doesn't need a win. Randy Orton just doesn't need a win. Randy Orton, he's great. He's fantastic. He's still going to be, you know, the coolest dude or whatever. I just feel like the Fiend needs to win, and I like the addition of Alexa Bliss. I feel like Alexa Bliss is doing, like, her best work right now. Like, she is just an amazing actress right now. Like, she's doing some, I mean, it sucks she's not wrestling, but she's doing top-notch acting, like, really, really good. And I'm really enjoying it, and I want to see more of it. So I want the Fiend to win.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Fiend as well. Dylan raises a good point in the chat, talking about how can we be excited about this, like the result of the match, when their match at WrestleMania 33 was so horrible, which me and you were both there live for that. We saw that firsthand, and I totally agree. That was the biggest letdown of a match on the whole show. Well, I say the whole show. That was also Undertaker Roman main evented that. That match sucked. So actually, that was the biggest letdown of that show. That show was totally worth going to, by the way, because the Hardy Boys return. Like, that was like enough to like.
That was a best.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was awesome.
So I am happy I was there, but and it got my profile picture that I've used ever since on like everything on that show. So.
I know it is. It's that set.
Yes.
I have the same picture too. I'm holding a pretzel. I literally weigh. Trigger warning if you are scared about weight and stuff. I literally weighed like 80 pounds. So.
Well, I've seen the video of you with like the flat bill in the thumbnail.
Yes.
Yeah.
My certified G hat. Yes.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Jeez. Yeah.
How you doing?
Oh man.
Oh, hey. I think there's a lot of redemption coming soon for Enzo. I really think he's gonna show up in AEW. I really do.
Oh God, I hope not.
I've come around on Enzo lately. He's actually self-aware of like I've listened to interviews and he's like, I know I'm not good at wrestling. I know how I'm getting under people's skin. Like I know I know what I'm doing with this. Like I know I'm not a good he knows he's not good at wrestling. So like it's one of these things where he just knows how to draw heat and but the reason I thought about that was MJF keeps getting called soft on AEW.
Ooh.
And I feel like they can totally have him come in because Enzo's like the guy who would call someone soft. Yeah. But as far as this match goes, you know, I'm going to go with the Fiend. I think the Fiend should win. I do like Bray Wyatt. I think he is a talented performer, and I do like Alexa Bliss. I think she's very talented as well. them together scares me because I get vibes of like when Kane started falling in love with women on the show in like the early 2000s. The one moment we got out of that was, so for people who don't remember, Kane fell in love with Tori, and they talked about the X-Pac Tori Christmas story, because X-Pac had like slept with Tori when Kane was in love with her or whatever. Now Kane, the guy who doesn't talk, who's emotionless, who is all about fire and brimstone and choke slamming you and pile driving your head through the canvas. Now he's in a love triangle with and the only good thing that came out of it was when he joined DX, because he was with X-Pac for a time, and he put the voice box up to his neck. Suck it. That was good. But outside of that, all I can think about is how bad they nerfed Kane once he started falling in love with people. And I am worried about Bray Wyatt with that. I'm not gonna lie. I do think Alexa's done good acting. Yeah. Like I'm with you there. And
I want him to play for that.
Well, and I'm okay with the pairing, but not if it's at the expense of like the Fiend starts losing matches because like Alexa Bliss is like
a love story. I do not need a love story.
Right. I just feel like that's 1,000,000% where this is.
The Fiend should not be a sexual being, you know.
It's an asexual.
He's a demon or whatever. Like he's a mythical creature. Like I'm not into that kind of fan fiction, guys.
Well, and Alexa's very good in the ring. Like she's a good wrestler. She's a good personality.
Actually,
So there's a lot of talent here. I'm with Dylan. I just think that as far as a result for the match, like at the end of the day, like who really cares who wins or loses? Like it's not the Fiend dropped a lot of spots with me after that Goldberg match. Like, I mean, he still hasn't fully recovered as far as I'm concerned. It's been a year, but yeah. So anyways, but yeah, hopefully, hey, we'll put it this way. Here's the bar is very low. The bar is WrestleMania 33. If they can exceed that, it's a win.
Screens. No projections on the ring, please.
Oh, I mean, you thought that was bad. Imagine what the Fiend could be capable of. I feel like we're going to get a whole CGI laser show. Yeah. And like Retribution will accidentally come out. They're like, oh, the lights went out. I thought we were supposed to be out here.
But that was our calling, dude.
Yeah, Retribution. What a fucking joke. That shit's so funny to me too, like Ricochet, because like, so I probably shouldn't even say that, but I've interacted with Ricochet one time and he was kind of a jerk. And
really?
And so seeing him being jobbed out to Retribution is actually pretty funny to me. I'm going to be totally honest.
Well, I didn't know he was a good IRL jerk.
I can't say that's what he's like to everybody. I've had really good interactions with wrestlers that people call a piece of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all personal experience.
For you personally, yeah.
I might have caught him at a bad time on a bad night. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but I just know, like, I remember what my experience was and walking away, because it was one of those like meeting your heroes type scenario where you have like really high expectations because you're like such a big fan of this guy, and then he's kind of a jerk, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna really be cheering for you so much anymore after that. And then he comes to WWE, does great in NXT, and now he's at a point where he is losing to each member of the weakest faction in wrestling history. So I'd put the Riot Squad ahead of Retribution, and I think the Riot Squad's like the worst thing that's ever happened. So
wow, yeah.
And by the way, it's not because of the talent, it's because remember when the Riot Squad came up, like, because they did the women's evolution thing, and they had all
like,
those teams
going over trash cans and like spraying mustard on people.
Yeah, and it was like they were three random girls with completely different gimmicks that just got thrown together because they needed
Sarah
like
Logan was just like
yeah. It was it made no sense. And then like you were saying, they're running around backstage like Professor Chaos, like
yes.
Hey, hey, check this out. We're gonna order a meal, and then before we pay for it, we're gonna run out and dine and dash. You know what I mean? It was like that kind of shit.
The wrong house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, check this out. Ring ring. Hey, is your refrigerator running? Oh, you better go catch it. Boom.
I know, it's so lame.
Riot Squad.
I'm gonna ask for a water cup at the restaurant and actually get soda.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Derek Fia says, that's how I felt about WCW pushing Insane Cloud Posse. Shut your fucking mouth, Derek. ICP rules.
Fago.
Fago. Run with the hatchet,
That stuff
man.
is actually delicious. I don't drink diet, but it's
very good. Apparently, the owners of Fago don't like the ICP because everyone associates Fago with. I know, that's the thing. It's like, how mad could they really be when the only reason I've heard of Fago is because of ICP.
Yeah.
And Derek, I'm kidding, by the way. Don't be offended by the.
Yeah.
I actually do like some of ICP's music. I will be. They were, me being 32. They were really edgy around the time when Eminem was getting big and Kid Rock was getting big.
We were, yeah.
So we were the prime age to be fans of this kind of music and this the kind of parental advisory CDs that you weren't supposed to be buying, you know.
Mom and dad.
Yeah, exactly. Let me put it this way: I would take my ICP CD out and then replace it with my 3-6 Mafia CD. You know what I mean?
Nice.
As a 10-year-old kid, I'm sitting there, sipping on some scissor, sipping. So, and we might even get copyright struck because that sounded exactly like the song just then. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna go with Bray Wyatt on that last match. Up next, we have the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre defending the belt against AJ Styles. I saw very briefly a part of Raw this past week where...
Oh my god, it's so dumb.
Yeah, I think it was the opening segment for Raw.
I laughed.
Did you?
I giggled furiously at this. Okay, as soon as the music started, I started just laughing.
So I had it on mute, so I don't know what was happening. I literally, because I was watching football as well, so I had wrestling on mute. I looked over at my screen. I saw The Miz reading what looked like a Christmas book, and then I saw John Morrison dressed like what I'm assuming was supposed to be Drew McIntyre, and then he stabbed AJ Styles with a... Well, that's what I thought initially was that. I thought Mel Gibson, then I thought The New Day, if you remember that movie.
Yeah.
Because at the end he does the Braveheart.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I bet you that's Drew McIntyre. And then I think he stabbed AJ with the sword or vice versa or something Anyway, so once again in AEW, you have, the Young Bucks versus FTR where it's a 3-year build-up and FTR runs through the roster and wins the titles, and the Young Bucks have this big redemption story of losing in the first round of the tag team title tournaments and having these great matches, and they finally get the belts. Well, in WWE, that's your build-up. You've got a Christmas story where one guy walks around the ring acting like the other guy. Yeah, it's a great build-up for a match that I could not care less about. Ooh. And you know how hard it is for me not to care about an AJ Styles match? This guy's still one of the best wrestlers in any company in the world, still to this day. And I could care. I don't care. I just don't care. I'll put it this way. I'd like to see AJ Styles win because I'm still a bigger fan of his than Drew McIntyre. I don't hate Drew McIntyre. I feel bad for Drew McIntyre because I don't think that he should have. I mean, it sucks to be in the situation he's in. They finally give him the ball. There's no one around. The ratings are lower than they've ever been. I feel for him, but AJ... I don't think AJ pops the ratings or anything like that, but I do think he's a really good wrestler. My prediction, though, is going to be Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre will retain here. Omis, I guess who they're calling that guy now who was the Raw Underground.
Yeah, the really tall guy, yeah.
Yeah, the Raw Underground bouncer.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, speaking of, where's Arturo Huras? Where's Dabakato? Where are all these guys?
All these people? Yeah.
Where's Riddick motherfucking Moss? Yes. Riddick Moss, the fucking legend. The Raw Underground legend. Where's he at?
Dude, that's why ratings are down.
You're right. You've solved it.
Bump.
You've solved it.
Raw Underground got them a bump, dude. But whatever.
Yeah. I'm taking McIntyre. How about you?
You know what? Screw it. I'm taking AJ Styles because I want him to win, and so I'm manifesting it. It doesn't make any sense? No. Is there any purpose? No. But I like AJ Styles. Not that I don't like Drew McIntyre. but I mean, he's got that Omis or whatever. How is it?
I think it's
Omis.
I think.
I can't. I mean, they need to use that guy. I mean, him and Drew McIntyre. That'd be kind of cool. But okay, so I don't know why I flipped over to Raw from the Monday night game. I think it was because it was right before halftime or something, and the Browns did something to piss me off, which is typical.
Sure.
And at this point in my pregnancy, I can't be getting too worked up, which I did in the end because the Browns gave me a heart attack. But anyways, it was a good game for other people, but for me, it was very scary. And I knew the Browns were going to lose. As soon as Lamar Jackson came back from taking a shit or whatever. And I made the best joke of the night, though. I said he took the Browns to the Super Bowl, and apparently I won Twitter, so.
There you go. I mean, that's
yeah.
low-hanging fruit, but, like, if you're the first one to get it out there, that's...
I was the first one to ask the Browns to the Super Bowl. And boom, 10,000 likes. Cool. Anyways. I don't know what
Jessi the Twitter goat.
Yes. I was getting so much respect. I've never gotten that much respect during a football game as a woman.
Over shit jokes.
Over a poop joke. At the expense of my Cleveland Browns. Like, go figure.
Self-loathing.
You know, at this point.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do? I mean, they just gotta laugh. Anyways, so the Browns did something to make me mad, so I flipped over to this. And I hadn't seen the Miz and Morrison thing. I did. I saw a picture of Morrison, and I was like, what? And then I flip over, and all of a sudden, like, AJ Styles is talking, and because I guess they're gonna put it's a table ladder from Chairs Match. They're putting the championship up, and as they're like hoisting it up, there's like this dramatic music playing, and I'm like, and they just starts like cutting a promo. I'm like, dude, what? What is going on? I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, what is happening? And then Drew McIntyre got attacked. And it was funny.
Yeah. That was at the end of Raw? So...
No, was it the end? I thought it was the beginning.
Oh, okay. So, gotcha. Because I remember they were promoting, like... I heard... shout out to Brian Alvarez. I was able to catch a little bit of what... Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're both big fans of everything they do over there. Mike Sempervidi, however the hell you say his name. He's great. Vinny, all those guys. They're all good. Vinny, Denise. Fucking Denise is over there now. Yeah, fucking crazy.
Now, I know. Good for her.
Hell yeah, it's great. She for people who don't know, because I don't know Denise super well, but I know we're like we both work for Fightful and stuff. And when she first started, for those of you who don't know, Sean Ross Sapp and Alex Pulaski did the Raw post show for a long time. And Alex moved on to go do the Sour Grap show on Fightful Select, where I do my Weekender podcast. And a big reason for that was because Alex is like, he's saying the stuff we're saying. He fucking hates this shit. And and Sean, understandably, was probably like, we probably need someone a little less negative. Yeah, a little less negative on the show. And like if you hate this so much, like we can do it on a different show. And like he got his own show. So it worked out well for everybody. Yeah, but when Denise essentially replaced Alex, I remember the chat being super toxic for a few weeks of
awful.
A lot of people really didn't like her because of whatever reasons. And well, a lot of it has to do with that, but I don't think that's strictly, well, I think that is a lot of the reason, but
yeah.
And you can't really compare it to this show because so many more people watch those live, so we don't get like the same level of toxicity, and it's very easy to moderate our chat, but like, and I think part of it with Denise, honestly, was just like her personality is just different, like because there's a lot of people that like Alex. Bubbly. Yes, and honestly, Alex is my favorite podcast. Is like my favorite podcaster. Like, period. I think what he says is hilarious, and I always loved him. I always loved him on Raw. And Denise is the kind of the complete opposite. She's very optimistic, right? Very optimistic, and stuff like that.
It was a very big change.
And it took a couple weeks, I think, for Sean and Denise to like really start hitting their stride together. But that's going to be any new partnership of any kind. So, but my point is, she rose above all that. Like she didn't let all the trolls. She didn't let all the trolls get her down. because I've always liked her, personally, but like it sucks to see that stuff. You're watching the chat and it's like all these people that are saying stuff, and you're like, oh man,
Oh,
like,
I know.
because and to be honest, not that it should be this way, but I think girls a lot of time are a little more sensitive than guys are when it comes to criticism and stuff. And I felt like maybe she'd take it kind of hard, and she just ignored it and kept trucking on. And now she's doing that. She's writing for Pro Wrestling Sheet ever since Ryan Satin left. She's like doing stuff over there. She's Figure 4 Daily Wrestling
Major
Observer.
upgrade, if I do say so myself.
I know your feelings on that, but the point is, huge shout out to Denise, because she literally it would have been very easy for her to like curl up in a ball and let the trolls get to her. She did the exact opposite. And she's killing it.
On the up and up, and I'm so proud of her.
Yes.
Don't get the thing with Taylor Swift. Don't get that at all. Do not like Taylor Swift one iota. Don't understand the obsession. But don't care. She's successful. So good for her. Maybe I should start liking Taylor Swift.
I think Taylor Swift's music's actually pretty good.
Really, I mean, you can like it. I don't get it. I don't get. I mean, she's very talented. Don't get me wrong, but I don't get it. I don't get it. It's a strange phenomenon to me.
I got you. Well, the point of me bringing all that up with Figure 4 Daily and Wrestling Observer and all that, I was listening to Brian Alvarez, and he had brought up quite a few points about this show, and he had mentioned that they did a contract signing on SmackDown, which I didn't see. I'm assuming it was for Reigns and Owens. And so on Raw, they didn't want to do it again, so they called it an ascension ceremony or something like that, which is, I think, is what you were talking about.
Oh, that's why they had the
Yeah, so I think that's what that was.
You know what? Props for the originality. Props for trying to be different. Okay. Sorry.
No, get out of here. Props. So no. But and he also said, Sheamus. So AJ Styles beat Sheamus on the show, and then Sheamus got attacked by AJ Styles, and I don't know if Omos bullied him or ganged up on him as well. I don't know, but Alvarez brought up this point too, which I think is worth bringing up, and this goes along with one of Dylan's points in the chat. Drew McIntyre hasn't been saving Sheamus, who's supposed to be his best friend, and that's going to lead to Sheamus turning on Drew McIntyre, which will probably be the next title feud if McIntyre retains. But that's what I'm about to say. The problem is, why would I, as a fan, not even that, so right now Sheamus and McIntyre are both baby faces. Sheamus is getting his ass kicked week after week, and Drew McIntyre is not helping him. When Drew McIntyre needs help,
Sheamus being a jerk.
Well, right, and Sheamus seems to help Drew McIntyre when he needs help. They've had tag team matches where he needed a partner, and he's been there for him. So if Sheamus, if Sheamus turns on Drew, which is I'm assuming what will happen, I'm assuming they'll turn Sheamus and not Drew. So I'm gonna be led to believe, or feel like, oh, Sheamus, what an asshole! This guy, he's the heel. Well, no. He's getting revenge on a guy who he thought was his friend, who he keeps helping out.
His anger makes sense. His anger makes sense.
Why would I boo Sheamus in that scenario?
Drew's being kind of a heel right now. Drew is ever since just think about Keith Lee. Every time Keith Lee was trying to win a match, Drew McIntyre would interfere. That's heel. That's straight up heel.
That's interesting. I mean, I don't know why I'm even looking into it as far as I am, to be honest. When like we said, Fiend and Bray Wyatt, they're both heels. It just doesn't matter, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm even overthinking it. I'll say this though.
We're trying to make sense.
You want to know what WWE should do if they want people to tune in? I know this is gonna sound completely insane. What I'd do in this first match, I'd give this dude the belt. I'd have Omos just fucking beat whoever the champion is in his first match. That guy's humongous. I don't care if he can wrestle or not.
He's cool. I like him. He's a mood.
Yeah, and he should be you know what? I was protecting the door at Raw Underground because I won Raw Underground. I wasn't allowed to compete, so I was keeping everybody out.
Right.
Like, I was keeping all the unworthies out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but imagine, because that's the thing. Like, at the very least, you have an opportunity there if you're WWE to market this guy. Like, tune into Monday Night Raw to see this humongous world champion of ours that's brand new to our company. Like, maybe people would be like, oh shit, who the fuck is this guy? You know, like, versus, oh yeah, McIntyre. I remember him from the 3-man band. He's the champion now. Yeah, so moving on, we have the what I'm hoping will be the main event. Two incredible performers. We got Roman Reigns, who I think is the best thing going on in WWE right now, along with Paul Heyman, defending the WWE Championship against Kevin Owens in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. Yeah. I don't know if this is on me or you first. I'll let you go first, though. What do you think is going to happen in this one? You got Reigns or Owens?
Roman Reigns, which sucks. You know what I actually think is going to happen here? If this happens, I'm going to be so mad. I honestly think Kevin Owens is in this match because him and Goldberg have beef. I think Goldberg's next going to cost the match or something. I don't know. Because Goldberg is doing all this weird stuff and talking about Roman Reigns and all this crap, which I don't want it to happen. Maybe they won't do that now, but I mean, Kevin Owens just kind of like showed up in the picture for no reason, and like I love Kevin Owens and I want him to win, honestly, but obviously Roman Reigns just cannot lose and shouldn't lose for a really long time. I don't even think he should lose a Mania. So I don't know, but obviously Roman Reigns will win. Duh.
Yeah, I think this will be really good. I think this will be the match of the night. I can't say enough good things about Roman Reigns as a heel. I really can't. Like, that is one thing that I will adamantly defend when it comes to WWE programming. If someone were to come at me and be like, the WWE sucks fucking ass and it is the worst fucking piece of shit company I've ever seen right now, and there's nothing good, I'd say, well, hold on. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but Roman Reigns is really, really, really fucking good. Like, that is really fucking good what he's doing. So,
yeah.
And Kevin Owens is a great performer, but he's in this really weird spot in his career right now, I feel like, where he's just part of the WWE system at this point. He doesn't feel special like he did when he was Kevin Steen and when he came in to the NXT and all that. Like, they had a real chance with him to make him like a Cena level, Roman Reigns level guy, I think. And
his match with Goldberg ruined it.
Yep, same with the Fiend in Goldberg. I mean, it's this, and that's another thing. Like, Goldberg, I said this on Twitter, and a lot of people agreed, so I'll kind of repeat it, because there's people making comparisons between Goldberg and Sting, and part of my big thing is, like, with Goldberg, he comes in and he keeps beating people that the WWE needs to be pushing for their future, and he's winning instead.
I know, I hate it so much.
And he had the perfect send-off at WrestleMania 33 that we were just talking about.
Did you not?
And
so perfect.
It was perfect. And then after that, since he's come back, it's been really, really bad. And now I feel like he's in like the Undertaker position of like, all right, well, I gotta stick around for a couple more years and like, you know, have some good ones on the way out.
It's like, oh.
Well, no, the WWE's just going to keep throwing money at him like that.
Yeah. Who wouldn't? I would do that too.
But apparently AEW offered him a lot of money and he chose WWE. And at this point, I am saying thank God about that. At first, I wasn't. I was like, fuck yeah, bring Goldberg in it for like at least like it's on TNT, it's WCW vibes. Like, but now it's like no, I'm good. But I'm good. Like, I don't need to see it anymore. Sting, on the other hand, if he does wrestle, which I expect him to. If he does wrestle, there's a lot of varying opinions on that. I am 1,000,000% all for Sting wrestling. 1,000,000%.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. If he's medically cleared, yes, 100%. But the thing with Sting is he's not going to come in and beat Kenny Omega for the belt.
Exactly. I'm so over all these stupid fanboys and fangirls. I won't gender specific it or whatever, being like, well, they brought AEW brought in Sting, and everyone was marking out, but WWE brings in Goldberg, and everyone freaks out. It's because they throw him into the title picture for no reason, and they make him win. They bury all this good talent. Like, get out of here with that comparison. It's not even a comparison.
Exactly. What'll probably happen? No. You're right. I'm glad you said that because like it'll be something along the lines of like Sting and Darby having like a tag team match, and like Sting will probably mentor Darby, and Sting will probably have a singles match with like Cody. And I think eventually, I think the big long term goal of Sting and AEW should be in Sting's last match, because this is his chance for redemption. He came into WWE and he got buried. People can say what they want about, well, it was Triple H and it was WrestleMania and it was Seth Rollins for the world title. That's not really burying anybody. Well, it is when you're him, because there was no reason for him to not beat Triple H at WrestleMania in his debut match. That was such bad booking. It was so bad that Scott Hall, I think it was Scott Hall, I heard talking about it in an interview, that he apparently even like went up to Sting before that and was like, "Bro, you're booked to lose this. Like, you should probably say something to somebody about that. Like you're like there's like it's like." Anyways, and then the fact that he got injured on his way out in that Rollins match. And then he had been like begging for like cinematic matches or something, and they weren't doing anything with him. And so I'm happy Sting has a chance to redeem like the end of his career. And I think the last thing he'll do is he'll put Darby Allin over clean in the middle of the ring. That'll be the last thing he does. And that's
the way to do it.
And that's you go in there, you have a match with Cody. Win or lose, Cody and Sting both win there, because Cody's already at a point in AEW where he is going to be a main eventer no matter what. Sting, same thing. Doesn't matter if he wins or loses against Cody. Needs to beat Darby, and I think everyone's in agreement there. I think everybody involved would be, including Sting, is like, this is what I'm here to do. Like, I'm setting up the next generation. So there's I think Sting and Jericho will happen, and that's another thing where I think Sting will win that one. But even if Jericho wins, they're both at like the same level at this point. Like it just makes for good stories. So, anyways. That all being said, I'm going to take Roman Reigns to defeat Kevin Owens. I think the match is going to be pretty good. And and I'm with you, too. I think Roman Reigns, no matter who he wrestles at WrestleMania, whether it's The Rock or anyone else, or whether it's Goldberg, or if they're going to do that.
If he squashes Goldberg, I will be so happy.
Yeah. This needs to be something like that.
Needs to be. If they're going to do that Goldberg match, I hope to God they don't.
Yes.
Please, God, just yeah. Fuck.
Well, that's it for TLC. I'm going to throw this out there at the end of the show as well, but Wrestle Rumble, they're not doing predictions, but they are doing a belt giveaway again. They're giving out either 4 or 5 title belts. I'll talk about that at the end of the show, but jump on WrestleRumble.com because, they're always supporting us, and they're going to be doing a giveaway right after TLC, so get your money in for the raffle right now. Well, we've been doing this for a while. I do want to get your thoughts before we get out of here, and we'll talk more AEW heavy on our next show also.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because there's so much that like happened.
Well, and we've already been able to talk about Sting, which is good. So we pretty much got that out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, to start off, what are your thoughts on? I mean, we both wanted Kenny to win that belt, and it happened.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen the way we were expecting. So tell me about your feelings and thoughts when he won the belt, and then the aftermath where you find out he's aligned with Don Callis and they're bringing this belt to Impact.
Okay, so I was obviously elated. I was dancing on a table when Kenny won. Was super happy, and it was like that. Okay, can we talk about that Wednesday night show? Was just so good. Like,
yeah.
I wanted to go so bad, and I told my husband, I was like, "You should have gone." Oh well. But yeah, then well, they've had Don Callis on commentary for a long time, and there's this whole like he comes out concerned for Kenny Omega, and I didn't see his face at first. I thought it was the doctor. I was like, "Why is the doctor out there?" And then I realized who it was. And so, obviously, like, it's a heelish way to win. So, okay, he's a heel. Makes sense. Very cleanerish, too. But that send-off and that twist, Like, remember when Tony Khan said that there was going to be a big, like, groundbreaking in the industry announcement and to be patient, and people, like, buried Tony Khan for that because it didn't happen, and it was just, like, Pac or Pac's return,
Right.
and people didn't, like, people just, like, just wait and be patient, you'll see. I feel like this is what he was talking about. Like, talk about me being absolutely shocked. Like, you could kind of maybe tell it was going there. Like, I was like, okay, yeah, Don Callis is there. They're not really going to do it, are they? They're not really going to do it. Like, they're teasing it. Maybe there's some sort of, like, low-key AEW Dark partnership going on or something. Or, like, you know, kind of what they're doing with the NWA, like, bringing some people in. They're not actually going to, like, really go all the way with it. And they did. And my husband said, he goes, Jessica, if AEW teams with Impact and, like, New Japan, he's like, WWE is in big trouble. And I think this is great for professional wrestling. I don't want to say, like, yeah, they should all come together to bring down WWE. I'm of the opinion that competition is what's best for business, and competition, like true competition, Monday Night Wars kind of stuff, brings out the best in each respective company. And we want that. As wrestling fans, you should want that. Now, obviously, there's the whole other element with, like, the fans and people trolling each other, and it's ridiculous. It's so dumb. But if you take a step back and kind of look at it like sports trash talking, like, when I talk sports trash talking, like when I'm talking to Team Up North fans, you know, Team Up North, I can't say the name of the state. Like, I'm shooting the shit and I'm, you know, talking smack. But at the end of the day, like, they can still be my friends. They're still human beings. Like, I can put that aside. Like, and so if you look at it from that perspective, like, it's fun. It's so fun to see these ratings come out every Thursday. I know people are like, oh, ratings don't matter, but I'm like looking at my phone, like, ooh, who won this week? Ooh, what's it gonna be? Like, you know, it's fun.
Yes.
So I think that this is great. It's great for Impact because it's bringing up the numbers, like skyrocketing these numbers for Impact, which is great for Impact's talent because they actually have a really good show. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say because you watch Impact every Tuesday, and you have. And you know, the Bullet Club thing they teased last night, like, what's going to happen tonight? It just opens so many doors, and it makes me excited. Like how we talked about in the beginning of the show, how WWE just kind of feels like it's just there. Like, it's not really leading to anything. With AEW, like, this partnership with Impact, it's like, whoa. Like, there's so many different ways they could go with this. There's so many different things that can happen. Like, I'm tuning in, and I'm expecting to be surprised, and I don't know what to expect, and I'm excited. And that's what I want. I don't want to tune into the show and be like, all right, let's get through it. Let's just get through this. I want to be able to be excited for it. And I feel like that's what this is bringing.
Yeah, I echo all that. I mean, there's so many thoughts I have on all this. Like, as far as, like, the winter is coming stuff, and I gotta give a shout out to a YouTuber called Truth Slayer. He was doing YouTube videos back when no one else, very few people were, back in, like, the late 2000s. And he put out kind of the scenario about it, and I thought it made a lot of sense. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought kind of like I could see it going this way. So I think winter is coming. That still hasn't happened yet. Like, it might have it might have been
not here.
Like, it might have been the Sting thing and all that. Like, that might have been, but the reason I'm really thinking more and more along these lines is the real story right now, on top of, like, Impact versus AEW and all that stuff, is Kenny Omega is now the belt collector. He is the AEW World Champion. He's the AAA Mega Champion, and he's been targeting Rich Swann already in Impact, and he wants that belt. He wants all the world titles. And what I think winter is coming really is, and whether or not this is what winter is coming, quote unquote, winds up being, or if this is just kind of the story that'll come off of that, because we have an actual opportunity right now. We're in a situation where a lot, I mean, especially people around our age, the 18 to the 49 demo that everyone cares so much about. We're watching AEW over WWE right now. And a lot of us are watching Impact. Like you mentioned, I've been watching it for years. I review it every weekend on the Weekender podcast for Fightful, so I'm very familiar with Impact. Their viewership on Twitch, the first night Kenny showed up, was like around 60,000 on Twitch concurrent, which for them normally it's like 1,000 or so. Like it's usually not that many people. Now most of their viewership comes from Access TV. I don't know what they normally draw, but I know the night that Kenny showed up, I think it was something along the lines of like 250 to 300,000 or something like that.
It's big, yeah.
So they did a pretty damn respectable number, probably about 500,000 people or so total, which for them is very good. And the amount of buzz they've created and all that. But my point, I guess, with the whole Winter is Coming thing is you have all these fans dialed in right now on AEW. They're now also, a lot of them are either discovering Impact or re-watch, like coming back as Impact fans that maybe were once TNA fans. A lot of that same audience is paying attention to what's going on in New Japan. A lot of that same audience is familiar with what's going on in Ring of Honor and them bringing back the Pure Championship and all this stuff that they're setting up in Ring of Honor right now with the Foundation and Jonathan Gresham and his new group and it looks like Lee Moriarty will probably show up, who's a great wrestler, and they have Tracy Williams and Jay Lethal and all these great workers in this stable with Ring of Honor. And then you have I'm probably missing other you have the National Wrestling Alliance that they're trying to get their YouTube channel and show starting back up. They started doing the Shockwave show, which are airing episodes or matches that were from UWN. Anyway, my point is, a lot of our demographic, the demographic that matters the most I would say the most because we're the ones spending the most money on wrestling. We're the ones buying the most pay-per-views. We're the ones buying the merchandise. You know, we're the ones making podcasts to talk about this stuff. Like, if we're all paying attention to all these companies, you have an actual opportunity. Not necessarily, this isn't to bring down the WWE, but you can actually crown, for the first time since the WWE absorbed everything from the territories, you can have a legitimate world wrestling champion. Like, the WWE isn't even involved, but you're like, because you can always have, and there doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical title, but imagine a scenario where we had like the champion from AEW versus the champion from Ring of Honor versus the champion from NWA versus the champion from the IWGP champion from New Japan, and like you have like a bracket of like the 6 or 8 main world champions outside the WWE. And you can have something like that where, like, once a year, you can crown the real world's champion. Like, that would be
Super Bowl wrestling.
Right, and it's totally possible. And the people in the
like
WWE...
the Olympics, I should say, like the Olympic gold medal.
Right. Because that's similar to what it was like when, before, like, at one point we had the WWF, and then you had the territories still, where Ric Flair was usually the National Wrestling Alliance champion, and he traveled from territory to territory as the world's champion. And imagine being in the WWE, and knowing what these guys are getting paid, and seeing something like this happen. That's going to be a real catalyst for guys like AJ Styles or Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, these kind of guys to be like, I'm missing out on this. Like, they're doing, like, real fucking fantasy booking right now. Like, there's going to be so many talented wrestlers that want to join something like that. Like, so there's just so many, there's so many awesome options that they have with all this stuff. And I feel like they're already kind of putting some wheels in motion with Kenny being the belt collector, because I think he will win the Impact Wrestling Championship for Rich Swann. And I could totally see him beating Roosh for the ROH title, or beating Jonathan Gresham for the Pure title. I could totally see him having another match with whoever, the IWGP champion is at the time, whether we have, Okada or another Okada Omega or Naito or whatever it winds up being.
Wrestle Kingdom this year's meeting.
so there's so many options.
Yeah.
And there was one other point I was going to make about that too, with and also I think that these kind of things have been in the works for a while too, because this is where it's already been like a year or so ago already now. And this has nothing to do with people outside of the ring, because there are going to be controversial people I bring up right now. But hear me out on this. How confused were all of us, when Marty Scurll re-signed with Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
Because there's a relationship coming with Ring of Honor and AEW.
Oh,
why were we so confused when Gallows and Anderson didn't sign with AEW when they left the WWE and they wound up in Impact, and everyone was like, it's cool and all, but why aren't they going to Impact with their friends where there's going to be more eyes on them? It's because they knew they knew this story was coming. Like, they're setting up all their chess pieces. Like, even to go even farther back, does New Japan really have the bad relationship that they claim to have with Kenny and the Young Bucks? Is Ibushi really sticking around in New Japan just because he wants to be the IWGP champion for his life goal? Or is he there because when AEW versus New Japan happens, you do Kenny versus Ibushi for the fucking double titles? Like, you have all these people have been like winding up in all these spots to where when all these companies are able to go at each other, all the pieces are in place to have these just dream scenarios. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I think it's already looking like we're going to, New Japan, if New Japan wasn't interested in a relationship, they wouldn't have Jon Moxley as their U.S. champion. They wouldn't be having Jericho come over and beating Tanahashi.
He's still champion. Yeah.
Like,
is he still champion?
He is. But he probably would have lost it by now, but the pandemic and all. But that all being said, it's like, there's clearly a relationship there with New Japan to some degree when you're using Ambrose, when you're using Moxley and Jericho. And you have that relationship from before with Omega and the Young Bucks and all this stuff. So I think there's just a lot of possibilities. And I don't want to miss James's super chat. If you want to read, he just put a question on the chat. Thank you, James.
Thank you so much, James. Like, seriously, thank you. He said, do y'all think it's time for Lashley to move on from the Hurt Business? I think I see where you're coming from, because Bobby Lashley is, like, incredibly talented and a badass and super cool. But I actually really like him in the Hurt Business. I think it elevates him, actually. I think there will be a time when it's okay for him to move on from the Hurt Business. But I really like what they're doing in the Hurt Business right now. I really enjoy it. I enjoy MVP kind of being there. And I enjoy Bobby Lashley being, like, the main force in the Hurt Business. So I quite enjoy it right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's perfect for the group. I think the group is perfect around him. And I think it makes him look even better if and when... So, I'll say this. There's a lot of what ifs right now because of, like, the free agency market and the fact that AEW is able to pony up money to get people that normally would only work for the WWE, like Sting, for instance. Brock Lesnar's a free agent. I'm not saying Brock Lesnar's going to wind up in AEW, but what I'm saying is if Brock Lesnar goes back to the WWE sometime soon, I feel like a can't-miss match for the WWE is Lashley versus Brock. They've never done it. Lashley's never looked better. He's got the Hurt Business around him that gives him even more credibility in a matchup with Brock. So that's what I would do. If and when Brock comes back, I'd have Lashley still with the Hurt Business, and I think it gives Lashley a better chance of beating Brock Lesnar if they are to wrestle, because I think that's the best match for. I think that's the best match for both guys.
Yeah.
And then James had another question which you've answered, and I brought this up at the top of the show anyway, so I'll answer it quickly for James too. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Thank you so much for the super chat.
Do I think AEW's women's division should be treated better? I think they've tried to treat it well, and I think they haven't had the right talent in place and the right people making the decisions for the talent up to this point. I think, like, for instance, I don't think I don't think Nyla Rose was the best option for a world champion after Riho. I didn't think her run was very good. I think that Sheeta's been really solid. I think Thunder Rosa's great.
I like Sheeta.
I think Thunder Rosa's great, but she's NWA contracted still, but that's another thing. Do you really think she wouldn't be able to get out of her NWA contract? The NWA let James Storm out of his contract because he almost signed with the WWE last year. Like, they would let her out. I think she's in the NWA because, once again, this is a Worlds Collide type scenario where, like, NWA is going to have some women on their roster that can go like this when they go up against, other companies, mainly Impact Wrestling. And that brings me full circle. Impact Wrestling. That's where AEW's women's division is going to benefit the most, is this relationship with Impact. Because the first thing I would do, if I'm the first, like, AEW versus WWE, or WWE, AEW versus Impact type show, the first one of those we get, I would have, Sheeta's still the women's champion, right, in AEW?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Her last defense on pay-per-view was that Nyla Rose rematch. That's right.
Yeah.
I would have Jordynne Grace beat Sheeta for the AEW title. I'd have an Impact wrestler.
Ooh.
Because Jordan, I've been talking about for forever. Like,
yes,
AEW needs her. And she can do everything that they wanted Nyla Rose to do. But she can actually pull it all off. Like, if you want to have that same kind of story where you have a dominant female champion who can go in the ring, who actually has really good intergender matches. I've seen matches between her and Brian Cage that were really good. Like, she can wrestle anybody. And I'd say the same about Tessa Blanchard. I'd say the same about Gianna Perrazzo. There are some women in Impact that are super, super talented. And I would have them, like, Jordynne Grace would just be my personal pick. But, like, if she went over there, she beat Sheeta for the belt in her first match, that puts a big stamp on this rivalry. It's like, you invaded us, you won our title, and now who's going to be able to take it off of her? Because AEW doesn't have the kind of women right now that I think are credible enough to beat Jordynne Grace. So, and eventually maybe it's like Chris Statlander, who I still think has a ton of potential. She'll be back soon. So there's...
Yeah, that's true.
But so to answer your question, James, I think AEW's women's division, I think they just haven't had the right pieces in place up to now. I think Britt Baker's great also, by the way. I didn't mention her.
Yes, I love her.
But I would, that's where, once they are able to use some of the Impact women on AEW TV, I think you're going to see a huge increase in that overall division. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'd give it time.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And Jazz is with Impact now also. Jazz and Jordynne Grace are tag team. That would be, I think eventually Jazz will turn on Jordan or vice versa. I think we'll get a match between the two. I think that's where that's heading. What else was there? Impact or, and you mentioned it also, the Good Brothers and Kenny. Kenny literally name dropped the Bullet Club.
Tonight, I guess.
That's right. AEW's tonight. I completely forgot it was Wednesday. We normally do these shows on Tuesdays. I'm one day behind.
It's tonight, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, maybe Gallows and Anderson show up on AEW tonight with Kenny. I mean,
dude, I will poop my pants.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, once again, with all these pieces being like, it isn't a coincidence that right now the AEW Tag Team Champions are the Young Bucks and the Impact Tag Team Champions are the Good Brothers. You know what I mean? It's not a coincidence. That's the match.
It's so much chess, and I've been playing checkers, and I'm like, it's great. I love it. I'm so excited to be. It makes it fun to be a wrestling fan again. You know?
Yes. Exactly. That's really the best way of putting it. Like, if it wasn't for all this going on, I mean, even a few years back, I'd say probably 5 or so years ago, I was getting really down on the WWE product. I was like a foot out the door, and even like being a wrestling fan, MMA was firing on all cylinders. The UFC was just doing insane business. And I was like, you know what? I can basically replace my fandom over here. Like, I'll just keep watching UFC and not really waste my time with the WWE. And then they like dragged me back in with NXT because NXT was so good. And I was like, okay, well, if this is where the future of the company's heading, I'm going to stick around because I'm here for this kind of stuff. But now again, more recent years, I kind of like, all right, I don't know. And thank God for the indies. If it wasn't for indie wrestling, I'd be too jaded to, like, I wouldn't want to podcasts about wrestling. I wouldn't have any kind of position at Fightful. I wouldn't be doing like any of this stuff because similar to Alex, like I'd be sitting there watching Raw and just fucking just hate watching a show. I'm glad he hate watching
right.
Yeah. I'm glad he hate watches it because his podcast is hilarious. But it's taxing. Like I feel, how crazy is it that I feel bad for people? Like unless you're making money reviewing or writing or whatever about Raw, like I feel bad that you are obligated to sit through that 3-hour show every Monday. Like that sucks.
Oh, I know.
That's so sad to say that. Like as like a lifelong fan who's always wanted to talk about wrestling and write about wrestling and shit, like even I'm like, oh man, I feel bad for wrestlers who work for the WWE who like are making six figures and like working for a company where they're not allowed to have a fucking Twitch channel. like it's so bizarre.
You can't have fun. They're not allowed to like distract themselves from their life.
Exactly. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, you're right. We're very lucky. We have other options. Other options are really good. I think Impact Wrestling has been great all year. There's some goofy shit. Don't get me wrong. Wrestle House is goofy as hell. The Johnny Bravo murder mystery is goofy as hell.
That's funny.
There is some goofy shit. But I think when it comes to the things that really matter the most, with the kind of stuff I just talked about, like Kenny's involvement, Kenny versus Rich Swann, the Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR, like hopefully we get that. Like Young Bucks, like there's not going to be any silly, goofy Wrestle House shit with any of that. You know what I mean? Like we're just going to get good fucking stories and good fucking matches. So.
There's Thunder. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good cue to get out of here anyway. We've been going for a long time. That's what she said.
We had a lot to catch up on.
Yeah. and it won't be another 2 weeks this time, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. Took a week off last week. And yeah, we'll probably be back. I'll do the sponsors here in a second, but I don't know. The Buckeyes play Saturday probably, right?
Yeah, they play at noon.
Noon on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, we might be able to squeeze one in like before the game if you want a live chat.
Maybe after. I mean, it depends on what happens.
After's tough because of the UFC for me.
Oh, that's right. Well, I'm going over to my parents to watch the game. So. Okay.
Well, we'll plan on probably early next week again. Well, because then we'll also have TLC to talk about on like Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So we'll probably be back on Tuesday. Make sure.
Unless something like another crazy thing happens like tonight and we need to come on.
Yeah, it might come on tomorrow then. Like if something crazy happens.
Yeah, something like super wild happens.
So if you can tell them all what to do while I'm pulling the sponsors up, I'll get that ready.
All right. Sure. So please, thank you so much to our chat. You guys have been absolutely awesome. We love our chat. You guys are the best. Like, for real. Like, we love you guys. But we want more people like you guys in here. So if you could please, if you've liked what you've seen, only if you've liked what you've seen, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out in the algorithm. It really helps us get more people watching the show and in the chat when we're live, and when we're not live, they'll try and come in. And if you do like what you see and you want to give it a thumbs up, please do consider subscribing as well. Like, we love like how our channel's been growing. It's been growing like way quicker than we thought, and we're so appreciative of it.
She had a lot of she's being modest. So you had a lot of subscribers before we started the show. So it isn't all like I take some credit for this, but not a ton of it.
Well, like we've been doing this for not even a year, and we've gotten like 6,000 almost. Like, well, 5,000, but still, that's a lot. Like, that's a ton of people.
I am happy to know that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot, and almost double. So I am so happy about that, and we just really want more people in here. So do please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and please consider subscribing if you want to see more, because we don't always know when we're going to go live. Sometimes the time is different. Sometimes the day is different. Like today, I had some things I had to take care of yesterday, so we couldn't go live yesterday. So if you subscribe, you get the alert, you get a notification, you get the set reminder, you get all of that fun stuff, so you know when we're going to go live, and you don't have to like stalk our Twitters or whatever. So yeah, subscribe. subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and let's go over the sponsors really quick. Steven, go over his, and I'll go over mine.
Yeah. So, we're going to start off with WrestleRumble.com. I talked about them a little bit earlier. This is the giveaway they're doing right now for $1 entries. So, hypothetically speaking, if you spend $5, you could possibly win all 5 of these. These are the prizes. So, they are doing... It's a little small on my screen. Got to lean in a little bit in my old age. It's weird seeing my forehead like that on the... I was like, what's he doing underneath the camera? So on the first, I say first, second, third, fourth, and fifth prizes. Really, they're all amazing prizes. It's just these are all going to go to 5 different people, where they are going to be giving away. And these are all the replica titles, by the way, like the real deal, like $400 replica belts. First place gets an Eddie Guerrero Signature Series belt. Second place gets the Smoke and Skull belt, the old Steve Austin World Title belt. Third place gets the Rock's Brahma Bull belt. That belt actually never made it to TV, but I remember them making it, and I remember The Rock talking about it and seeing pictures of it. Really, really cool belt. Number 4, they got the Rated R Superstar Spinner belt, the belt that Edge held after he beat John Cena for the title back in probably around 2005 or so. And then you have the Triple H Signature Series. And the Signature Series belts, for y'all who may not know, these are title belts that were never used on WWE programming, but they're custom belts that are made specifically for wrestlers. So the Eddie Guerrero belt you see in the middle, he held that Undisputed Championship. That's the belt he won from Brock Lesnar. But the actual belt, the leather and everything, is in Eddie Guerrero's, like the colors he had on his trunk, and it has like his logos in the strap and stuff. So it's really cool, especially if you're an Eddie Guerrero fan. And same with that Triple H title. That's the World Championship, the Winged Eagle Championship belt that Triple H won back in the late 1990s, early 2000s. But behind it, he has like the cross, like his logo. It's got like the cross behind it, some of Triple H's logos, stuff like that. So really, really cool. And these are all basically personal replica belts as far as, specific superstars and stuff. So really cool. Once again, those are only $1 entries to win those belts. Highly recommend doing it. The raffle is going to happen right after TLC. It'll be on the Solo Monsters YouTube channel. That's spelled SOLOMONSTER. It's Solo Monster Sounds Off. He does great reviews after the show, and he puts all of the entrants on his screen, and they randomly choose somebody right in front of everyone. So there's nothing fugazi going on. It's just a straight up, it's a randomizer, and you see who wins along with everyone else. And yeah, check that out. Go to WrestleRumble.com, join the contest, and follow them on Twitter at WrestleRumble to stay up to date with all the contests that they do. Also, shout out to Music City Toys and Collectibles. If you want action figures, DVDs, autographs, old magazines, like wrestling magazines, anything you can think of, Music City Toys and Collectibles has your hookup. They will give you good prices. They're nice people. They're very, very easy to deal with. I can't tell you.
Talk with them?
Huh?
Didn't you just interview them or something?
No, that was a different collector. That was Kyle Peterson, who.
Oh, okay.
Who is no? So, but Music City Toys and Collectibles. This is how small world this is. Kyle Peterson, who I interviewed on my show, who has his own YouTube channel, who I know there's a lot of big things in the future coming up for him. In my opinion, he has the most impressive pro wrestling figure collection in the world, and I've seen a lot of collections. He is considered to be the Larry Bird of wrestling figure collecting.
Wow.
The Michael Jordan is Matt Cardona. The Scottie Pippen is Brian Myers, and the Larry Bird, who a lot of people consider Larry Bird to be as good as Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? The Larry Bird is my friend.
Dennis Rodman is Grimm's Toy Show. I love it.
There you go.
I love you, Dave.
There you go. And this isn't to put anyone down. It's just, if you saw this guy's collection, you know what I'm saying. It's unfathomable the amount of figures this guy has. It's like he has everything. It's insane. But he's a super nice guy. I interviewed him on this same feed. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, I uploaded that interview with Kyle on the Fight Talk podcast feed. Available on all major platforms. But the reason that I'm saying all this is because Music City Toys and Collectibles, he is also a VIP of Music City Toys and Collectibles. So when...
You want to become the Larry Bird of wrestling.
Music City, they actually reposted the interview and everything, and we're like, hey, check this out. 2 of our own VIPs, Kyle Peterson and Steven Jensen, doing a podcast about wrestling figures and stuff like. So they gave us a big shout out because we both buy from Music City Toys and Collectibles. So I can't tell you how many times I've gone on eBay, found something I really wanted, and the price just seemed a little off to me. And then I hit up Music City Toys and Collectibles, and I tell them kind of the price range I'm in, and we always work something out that usually works out really, really well for me. So those are the people to get stuff from. And I don't want to spoil anything too soon, but I will be talking to them very, very soon, probably today, if not tomorrow. We're going to try to get y'all some more stuff from them for an upcoming giveaway that we have planned. So support Music City Toys and Collectibles. Follow them on all social media. Just search for Music City Toys and Collectibles. You'll find them everywhere. And yeah, they got a lot of stuff. They got mystery boxes. They have live sales that they do on their Facebook page and everything. Check them out. I can't stress it enough. They are nice people, and it's the reason I stress this so much, by the way, you don't know what you're going to get when you're negotiating prices on stuff, because a lot of collectors like myself, we're looking for the best price, and it usually involves undercutting whatever the asking price is. That's just a part of the game. It's similar to scalping tickets. Like if you walk up to someone on the street, there's like, hey, I want $100. You're like, I'll give you 50, and then you work from there. Like with figure collecting, it's very similar in a lot of cases. So when you hit someone up and you're like, hey, I really want to buy this, but this is kind of the price I'm looking for, it's good to know that the people you're going to be talking to are going to be nice about it. They're not always going to go with exactly what you're looking for, but at the very least, you don't have to feel bad about like reaching out and trying to make some deals happen. So check them out. And then last but never least, my brother Brian Jensen. He is the co-owner of Steel Boxing and Athletics, a gym out of Atlanta, Georgia. He is the head trainer of LDBF Boxing. That is a non-profit Parkinson's Foundation. I actually run the LDBF website as well as the YOPD website, which is a new program they're starting. It's a young onset Parkinson's diagnosis website. Basically, anybody who finds out they have Parkinson's, it's somewhere they can go where people like my brother and others that have dealt with those kind of symptoms, you get like it's like a big brother, big sister type program where you get to basically like if I find out that I have Parkinson's and I'm bummed about it, I go to this website, I find someone like my brother and I get paired up with him, and then it's someone who mentors you and helps you along the path of fighting these things. And Brian is certified in all this stuff. He can help you get in better shape, lose weight. He can help you with your neurological issues, whatever it is, no matter your age, your gender, your race, anything. He will help anybody. You can come to his gym in person. You can go meet him he can go meet you at your business. He can meet you at school. He can meet you at work, in a park, whatever it is. He can meet you on Zoom. And no matter where in the world you are, hit him up. Best way to get in contact with him is to find him on Instagram. His handle is BoxingATL, BoxingATL. He does most of his business through Instagram at this point. Just hit him up, send him a message. He'll work out a schedule with you, whether it's online or in person. So, BoxingATL. Hit up Brian Jensen, get a knockout workout without getting knocked out. And along with all our other sponsors, including Brian, if you let them know that me and Jessi sent you their way, I promise you get a really, 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 really good deal. If you want to follow me on Twitter, there's my my Twitter. It's at @FightTalk_. I've talked enough today. I keep all my stuff updated on Twitter. Fightful Select Weekender, all things MMA, all that kind of stuff. Check it out. Update you on Twitter. And that's it for me. Jessi, sorry, I know I just talked for like 10 fucking minutes.
No, you're fine. I don't care.
Oh, and also, guys, Linktree. I just started finally using this. It's on my Twitter. Yeah. It's on my Twitter bio. The reason I'm plugging this right now is for those of you watching or who will watch the replay. This is a hub that has all my stuff, and I keep it, and it stays updated for everything. So like even if like my YouTube work, I finally consolidated it all onto a little channel here.
Oh, you got portfolio! Yay!
So all my stuff is right there. Everything that I've ever edited, or even my appearances for Fightful and other podcasts I've done and stuff. There's an old picture of me and Joe Rogan from fucking at least a decade ago. Yeah, so you can check all that stuff out. Linktree is a good way to do that. I found out. So check that out. Jessi, I'm pulling her Twitter up right now and highlighting her OnlyFans. So Jessi, what you got going on?
Yeah, that's basically what I have. Oh, speaking of like lots of things, but basically, the best way if you want to, I don't check my DMs on Twitter. I don't add people I don't know on Instagram or Facebook anymore. Like no exceptions. Been going through some stuff. Like absolutely not. So if you want to like DM me, if you want to talk with me, see more of me, if you know what I'm saying, subscribe to my OnlyFans. It's the best way to support me directly, other than subscribing to the YouTube channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Subscribing to my OnlyFans is definitely the best way. It's super fun. Got lots of fun over there. Got some cool stuff planned for post baby, obviously. And I have a bunch of stuff that is not.
I'm sure there's a very large market for pre-baby as well, though.
There's a ton of pre-baby stuff, yes, and there will be a lot of post-baby stuff. So I'm really excited. There's a lot of stuff up there right now. I DM people every night. I like to do it. I use voice memos, so I'm actually like talking. I think it's more personal. I think it's more fun, and it makes people know that it's actually me talking to them. So I have a lot of fun over there. So onlyfans.com/Jessi the Buckeye. That's the best way, other than Twitter. I blocked out the M for rivalry. I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. And
you blocked out the what?
The M, the other X's.
Oh, gotcha.
Because we don't support that letter.
Oh, so, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
that's hardcore fandom right there.
Oh, this rivalry runs deep, dude. Like, ooh, you should see when there's people that walk by with like Team Up North stuff. Like, we all my whole family like verbally goes, ugh. It's hilarious. It's great. But yeah, obviously Jessi the Buckeye, so go Bucks. Also, up until December 31st, I do have a Papa John's pizza code. So Jessi 25, JSSI 25. I just got like a Papa John's partner, like creator partner, like backpack, not backpack, but like a duffel bag, and then like 2 pizza masks, like face masks. They sent me some stuff. Real cool.
Hell yeah!
So I literally just got that in the mail. It's really cool. So JSSI 25 for 25% off your online order for Papa John's pizza.
That's a good deal. 25% off still.
It's pretty good.
That's fucking great, and that's nationwide, right? So
yeah, nationwide. Can't use it in Canada.
The next time I order pizza, I'm definitely going to be doing that 25. Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's a lot. It really does count.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Support Jessi.
Support Steven.
Yeah. Whatever. Whatever. Support me. Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, y'all, it's been fun.
Yes, it has.
I'm going to probably just go ahead and buy these AEW figures, even though I was saying that I wasn't going to. Now I'm getting messages from my buddies that are like, oh yeah, we already pre-ordered, and I'm like, I can't be the only one left out. What I need to do is, because all things MMA, where I edit my YouTube videos, I have a great system with them because I get paid directly after I finish a job. So it's like I don't have to wait like till the first of the month. It's just like I finish a video, they send me the money, and they just sent me a video as we were doing this show. So I'm gonna grind this edit out. I'm gonna finish this edit in the next like day, and then buy all those figures, because then I won't feel bad about buying them. I'll at least have a little extra. I spent so much money this holiday season that I was gonna hold off on the AEW figures, but now that I have something new to edit, it's like, all right, I'll have a little extra money. I'm gonna throw that in there. So. Anyways, guys, we'll be back probably on Tuesday, possibly tomorrow, depending on what goes on tonight. We appreciate y'all listening, as always, and we'll see you on the next one.